With the postseason wrapped up, it is time for our second mock draft here on Falcons Today. So we're going to run through my selections for Atlanta. Now, two quick house rules when it comes to doing mock drafts. Rule number one, they are supposed to be fun. So have some fun with it if you do mock drafts yourself online. My suggestion would be pick different players just so you can learn more about other prospects and not just know one prospect in each round. And then the other rule is I try to do what Terry Fontenot would do, not what I would do, because I'm not the one really making the picks. So I always try to go off of his draft history and tendencies when making my picks. But we are reaching 33,000 subscribers, hopefully by the end of this weekend, but I do need your help. So if you are looking for a free Atlanta Falcons YouTube channel, scroll on down, click subscribe. That way you can stay in the know with free agency around the corner and the draft after that. Now, unfortunately, Atlanta does not have a lot of draft capital. They have 5 picks altogether. They lost their third to the Patriots for Matthew Judon. Their fifth was taken away for Kirk Cousins running his mouth at the press conference after he was hired. And their sixth was traded to the Eagles or for Van Jefferson, one of those two guys, last year, 2 years ago at this point now, which is why I am starting this mock draft off with a trade. I could see Atlanta looking to trade back from 15 to acquire some more draft capital. And I could see the Chargers jumping up. Maybe they're afraid that the Broncos, who pick at 20, are going to take Colston Loveland, and Harbaugh wants to get back with his former Michigan tight end. So they give up their second-round draft pick for moving up 7 spots. So after making this deal and moving back to pick 22, this was the selection I made. It is Georgia edge rusher Mykel Williams. Now, he can go almost anywhere in round 1. I don't think he's going to be a top 10 pick, but 11 to 32, it's kind of fair game. It's a little bit of everyone's got their own preferred taste when it comes to prospects like this because the measurables, the physical traits, they're all there. He's 6'5", he's 265 pounds, so this is a guy that can play across the defensive line in a lot of ways. There is no size or athleticism concerns when it comes to Williams. The concern is the lack of growth from 2023 to 2024. From a pure production standpoint, and if you're a frequent flyer here at Falcons Today, you know that's my favorite word when it comes to talking about edge rushers, the growth wasn't quite there. From 4.5 sacks to 5 sacks. Now, why is that? Well, in fairness, he missed some time earlier in the season with an ankle injury, and he also just wasn't really 100%. So that's a fair reason to bring up, but still, I think teams wanted to see a little bit more from Williams in that next season. However, I do look closely at the big games. How did he play in rivalry games? How did he play in the SEC championship game? Well, the guy had 2 sacks against Texas in the SEC championship game and when the Bulldogs went to Austin to play the Longhorns. So when the lights were their brightest, he came to play, which I think is very important to look at. So there is a lot of pros and some fair cons about Williams, which is why I think he could be available at pick 22. Needless to say, Atlanta needs help up front, right? Judon's going to be a free agent. I don't think they're going to bring him back. I don't think they're going to bring back James Smith-Williams. Maybe they bring back Eddie Goldman because he's going to be so cheap anyway. But I envision Atlanta wanting to completely rebuild their pass rush. So when it comes to Mykel, he's scheme-friendly. With that size, you can play him as a 5 technique defensive end. You can also play him as an outside linebacker. So he can move around a little bit defensively, which is quite nice. Very athletic, like every UGA player. And the production flashes at moments, right? In those big games against Texas, it was there. But some other games like Penn State, not so much. By the way, this would also be, and I'm like 95% sure about this, the first time the Falcons took a UGA player in round 1. And I wonder if the way the 2024 season ended, they might just go, if we're in between 2 guys and we see them as dead even, tie goes to the hometown kid because we kind of need the fan base to not jump on our backs after the draft. So let me know if you'd be open to selecting the former UGA player. Give me a Y for yes or N for no in the comment section. I do love to bounce back and forth with you guys in the comments. Moving on to round number 2. This is the Falcons' very own second-round pick. The Chargers' second-round pick is next. But I'm going to go with Kentucky cornerback Maxwell Hairston. I think DB is a sneaky need for Atlanta. Jesse Bates is terrific. AJ Terrell is awesome. After that, I see nothing but free agents, right? And Hairston can come in and bring a lot of versatility. I think he can play inside. I also think he can play outside. From a size standpoint, it's not the most impressive size I've seen from a corner. That sounded a little weird, but you get the point. 5'11", 179 pounds. He does not have elite speed. He's not a track star. He's probably going to, if he does play at the Falcons, have a couple of moments where maybe he is on the wrong end of a go route. But what he does have is some physicality. If you want someone who the fans are going to cheer for and he's going to get engaged with the fan base, he's your man. And you can look at the production over the last 2 seasons with the Cats. Big breakout year in 2023. And look at the pick sixes too, by the way. This is what I mean by the ability to just make some big splash plays, whether he's blitzing off the edge, whether he's returning not 1, not 2, but 3 interceptions to the house. There's a lot to like here, but there are some fair concerns, which is why I don't think he's a round 1 guy. But in round number 2, with the holes Atlanta has on their defense at the cornerback position, and by holes, I literally mean holes. Like, these guys are free agents. I think they bring back one of Hughes or Alford. Alford was really good going into 2024. Did not end the year on a very high note. We'll see if the Falcons hold that against him when making their decision on their own free agents. But you've got 5 starting DBs, let's call it, right? You've got Terrell, Alford, Hughes, and then at the back end, Bates and Simmons. 3 of them are free agents. So they have to target cornerback earlier in the draft, in my opinion. We're going to check out some more picks in just a second here, but I do have to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Factor. Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They are dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes. So you can fuel up and feel great no matter what. Lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor's keto meals. Based on a randomized controlled clinical trial with Factor Keto, results will vary depending on diet and exercise. But with 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Take it from someone who's trying to do a major diet right before his wedding. Factor's an awesome way to get in some good shape like this. So eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/FalconsChat50off and use code FalconsChat50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code FalconsChat50off at factormeals.com/FalconsChat50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. All of that information is in the comments and description of today's video. Moving on to the Chargers' second-round pick that we acquired in that trade. Let's go with, how about this? Texas offensive tackle Cameron Williams. Here's a real surprise, right? You probably did not anticipate offensive line in round 2 of the draft. I didn't think they'd go offensive line when they got Bergeron, right? But, that's the draft for you. So let me give you the background on Williams, and then I'll walk you through my process behind this pick here. 6'5", 335 pounds. I know all offensive linemen are big human beings. This is exceptionally big. He is a huge mountain of a person. He is tough to get around. There are countless examples of guys being super duper big and not being very good because the NFL is about speed and edge rushers are fast. So for that reason alone, I don't think he's going to be some stud offensive tackle. But what I do like about Williams is he plays right tackle. And he's a good pass protector as well. I don't think he's got some crazy speed in the run game where he can just jump from the defensive line to the linebackers and so on. But I think the plan could be, we've got Caleb McGarry. We're going to leave him at right tackle. See how it goes. He's entering a contract year anyway. And if we want to make a change, we've got someone developing on the bench in Cameron Williams. Whether that change happens mid-season or maybe it's, hey, the plan for you is you get to sit on the bench this year and you're going to just learn. You're going to develop. We're going to get you into Falcons football shape. And 2026, you are our starting right tackle. So I like the idea of letting him develop on the bench a little bit. I know for a round 2 pick, you're looking for someone who can make an immediate impact, but I do not mind exercising some patience in this spot here. On to round number 4. It is tight end out of Oregon, Terrance Ferguson. I think there's a good chance the Falcons trade away Kyle Pitts. And if that is the case, they are going to need a new tight end. So, how about a sneaky good receiving tight end? This is a very deep tight end draft class. Whereas last year, that was not really the case here. Is Terrance Ferguson someone that was like sculpted by the Greek gods? No, sorry, Terrance, if you're watching. He's not the fastest guy. He's probably not the strongest guy. But what he does have is a lot of production. And for round number 4, there's no guarantees by far. And so someone that set Oregon's tight end record with touchdowns at 16 over the course of his career, yeah, I think for a 4th-round pick with the team needing a tight end, you could do a lot worse. You can see the improvements he's made from his first year in Eugene to his last year, especially at a position like tight end in college football that gets no love. This is a cheap Kyle Pitts replacement. You're about to pay Kyle Pitts $10+ million. Or you can trade him away, get $10 million off your books, get another draft pick, and use a 4th-round pick on a tight end that's going to cost you about $1 million and get 80% of the production. Not a bad trade-off. And then to round out the mock draft, no 6th-round pick, no 5th-round pick, no 6th-round pick. So 2 7th-rounders here. This is the most boring part of all mock drafts. I'm going to go with Ohio State safety Jordan Hancock and LSU linebacker Greg Penn. Why these 2 guys? Special teams. We're in day 3 of the draft. You're probably not finding immediate starters. Every once in a while, you get a Puka Nacua, you get some great gems. But if that's the goal, you are doing a disservice to your special teams unit if you just keep putting all of your money on like red 18, hoping it hits, when you could be taking a much more safer bet like even or odds and covering half the board. You tell I'm going to Vegas in a week and my brain's already there right now. So I like the idea of let's bring in some guys for special teams, and these 2 players can help out in that department. So recapping my mock draft after those 2 7th-round picks, let's remember what we did in rounds 1 through 4. Mykel Williams from Athens, Maxwell Hairston from Kentucky, Cameron Williams from Texas, and then Terrance Ferguson out of Oregon. So how would you grade my mock draft? A, B, C, D, or F. I know there's no pick at 15. And ideally, you make that trade, and the guy you want at 15 is there at 22. Like that is the ultimate dream for a GM. But it's such a deep edge rusher class. If your first guy goes, I think pairing the second player on your big board at edge with an additional 2nd-round pick, those 2 players combined will outweigh whoever you wanted at 15 but got taken before you. Does that make some sense? I think in this situation, it should be a bit of a no-brainer for Atlanta. That will do it for us on today's episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Appreciate everyone for watching. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure to do so. That way you can stay locked in on the Dirty Birds, and I'll see everyone later.